Today, we are going to talk about something very interesting. We're going to look at some niche home loan programs that you may not even know that they existed. This is to help buyers, accomplish their goals when there may be obstacles in their way. So today, I'd like to introduce Shila Charati with loanDepot. She's here with us today. Been in the mortgage industry for 17 years, has helped over 1,000 families reach their financing goals. Shila is extremely knowledgeable about all different kinds of loan products and really strives to enable her clients to accomplish their goals, understanding their needs. She is an accredited mortgage professional AMP. That's a specialist designation by the Mortgage Bankers Association. And she is just all around excellent when it comes to financing. So thank you for being here with us today, Shila.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And my name is Jordan Bennett. I've been practicing real estate since 2007, so a little more than a decade with Keller Williams Realty. I'm very grateful to be one of the top producing agents here in Orange County. We've helped almost 600 families now in the last decade, either buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And I'm also a real estate investor myself. So very passionate. I put my money where my mouth is. I believe in real estate. And like Warren Buffett says, he says, invest in what you know. And so that's what I know. So today we're going to start off chatting about, one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is coming up with that seed money for a home, right? A couple different things that a lender will look at, right? They're going to look at credit, they're going to look at the income, and then of course they're going to look at down payment. So if you don't have the down payment, you've got good income, you just haven't quite put aside the money you need for a down, are there options for you, Shila?
Yeah, Jordan, it's crazy how most people don't even know that there's these options available. The housing agencies, they really do want to help home buyers get into homes. For years and years, I've been doing this for over 25 years. So yes, there are definitely options, down payment assistance, different sources actually that are available. And some people have maybe very low down payment, and we could work with both the down payment assistance and include their down payment.
Okay, great. So tell me a little bit about this down payment assistance program. How does that work?
So depending on the program and the qualification of each of the individual home buyers, there's different programs available that would allow for them to get assistance for down payment and closing cost. So the housing agency wants to just make sure that, the home buyers can afford it. They look at their credit. The credit doesn't have to be perfect, but they look at the credit. They look at how much income they have and what exactly it is that they can afford. And then they will give them, there's some that can give them up to about 7% assistance. So that would cover their closing cost and also down payment.
Wow. So is it really possible to actually get into a home with like $0 out of pocket?
Yes, so it is possible, but I would say most cases I've seen them come in with $2,000, maybe $3,000 out of pocket. That's more common. When you just want to go without any down payment assistance or any down payment out of pocket, you would actually be needing to get some credits from the seller. Most cases, $2,000 or $3,000 out of pocket is normal.
Okay, fantastic. Now it seems almost like too good to be true. And one of the things I struggled with when I first heard about this program is my immediate thinking was that this is only a program that's for people in financial hardship, right? Low income people, families making less than $45,000 a year. Is that the case?
No, that's not at all. It's amazing when I talk to buyers that come in and they're struggling with that down payment. They come to me and they say, I've saved up and I have exactly 3.5%, right? They would actually be left with absolutely no money, and they don't even have money for closing costs. And and that's when we talk about down payment assistance. People have no idea that this assistance and these programs are available. And the great thing about it is that it's really not that much different than the regular programs. Yes, the rates are going to be a little bit higher, right? And if you can afford, if you have savings, and let's say you have some reserves and the down payment and the closing costs all saved up, maybe it's better for you to go without getting the assistance. But in most cases, I always, have my buyers look at both scenarios. In most cases, when they see the two scenarios, and maybe the one with down payment assistance, maybe it's higher by $50 a month, maybe it's higher by $60 a month, but now they're left over with $15,000 or $20,000 in their bank for savings. Well,
Right.
it makes sense to go that route.
Yeah, and I know there's a number of different down payment assistance programs. So I won't hold you to, the specifics, but just tell me, what is kind of the ballpark maximum income that you can have to qualify for a program like
Yeah,
this?
it's funny. I just talked to another buyer who was just amazed. That's the first thing he said. I make too much money. I can't, get a down payment assistance. And what's funny is that his income was about 179,000 a year in Orange County. Maximum for that particular program was 203,000 per year. So he was very surprised, and he said, "Wait a minute, are you saying I have low income?" It's not only for low income, buyers. It's definitely for moderate. There's even some programs that don't have income limits.
Wow, that's amazing. But yeah, at first glance, I mean, to be able to make slightly over $200,000 and still qualify to effectively, get this grant money,
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible. We just got a question, so I just wanted to make a quick note that we're going to go ahead at the end and do a Q&A, but please do actually put questions in the chat as they come up, so that we can make sure you don't forget them and that we get to answer them. And then Courtney actually will go ahead both on Facebook and in the chat, put the information on how you can find both Sheila and I. So another question, you hear down payment assistance. Tell me, is this really free money, Sheila, or is this money that does it have to
Okay,
be paid
so
back?
when people say free money, I guess you have to really think about the word free, right? If you have certain occupations, there's grants available. And, some of the programs that I just love these days with everything that's going on with the pandemic, it's great to know that these particular programs are available. If you're a first responder, if you're a firefighter, EMT, paramedic, there are programs available that are just grants, which means that you don't have to pay it back. You don't have to stay in the home for a certain amount of years. So it's really great to know that these programs are available. And actually, public school teachers, right? So there's programs that are available that come in a form of a grant. Yes, you don't have to pay them back.
That's great. So can you think of, without naming names for confidentiality, can you think of any situations you've encountered where you saw this program really work for somebody?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's honestly, down payment assistance has become really popular. I've been doing this for a while, and I would say the past 2 years, I think I've done more than I've ever done, and in my whole career. One that really stands out, and I think just because I just got a card from them, was that there's a police officer here locally in Orange County, and he does everything for his kids. And when he came to me, he barely had the 5% down payment. And he had said, I could not afford to buy a home ever because I couldn't save up enough. But, this 5% was just really going to take everything he had from his savings. So, we talked about down payment assistance, and it really made a big difference for him to be able to get the assistance and just have a little bit of savings left in the bank, just in case there was any kind of an emergency. So that's what we did. We actually ended up buying a home from him. I think he came out about $3,300 out of pocket. And he was amazing. Is so happy. I saw the kids, and they just gave me a card, as a matter of fact, that, how happy they are. So yes, there's some great stories I can actually tell you. People that really don't believe this is possible. Right. Many of them are just people that work very hard. They have great jobs. It's not like they don't have good jobs. It's just the fact that living in these areas is really hard to be able to make it, month to month. It is paycheck to paycheck for most people.
That's fantastic. That's great that you're able to help that guy who may never have been able to buy a home.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So moving on to self-employed borrowers, I want to talk to you a little bit. I know that a lot of folks that have their own businesses or they're contract employees, and they write off everything because who wants to pay Uncle Sam a nickel more than you have to? So really aggressive, right, on the expenses, and maybe someone who makes $250,000, $300,000 on their tax return, it really looks like they're making 60,000, which makes it really hard to qualify for a loan with limited income. So I understand there's some bank statement programs out there. Can you speak a little bit to how those work and how that can help a borrower?
Yeah, bank statement programs have been around now for a long time. And it's crazy. Again, people just have no idea that this is even available. There's many self-employed borrowers that, put their money back in their business. And, and then the law allows for that. There's expenses. They can write it off on their tax returns. And unfortunately, the regular financing requirements, they would like to see tax returns and W-2s and pay stubs, and that's just not for every borrower. So the bank statement programs, we actually gather whether it is, different programs have different requirements. Some are 12 months, some are 24 months. There's quite a few of them out there. But on this particular one that I actually can remember, this was actually the one that we completed last month. We did 12-month bank statement, and that particular 12-month bank statement, I remember that we were looking at a couple of transactions on the bank statements, and I think it was some of them were transfers from their savings to their checking, and I think they were a little concerned because I guess they had read somewhere that the bank statement programs really don't allow for that. But it's really simple program that they look at deposits. That's really what they're looking for. It's for different buyers that maybe have a lot of business in and out of their of their checking, a lot of deposits coming and going. And that's what they look at. It's not about looking at their tax returns and what they show in income. It's just about how much deposit they have going into the bank.
Okay, so they really look at what's going into your bank account, and then they more or less kind of use that as more or less as income.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not as many bank statement programs that are requested, and I think it's just because people don't know about it. I do have a lot of borrowers that come to me that are self-employed, that are investors, and those are the ones where they've already had a couple of homes, and they just don't understand why they don't qualify, and then we of course introduce them to the bank statement program. And that's mostly when they're amazed and they tell their friends and all the other self-employed, family members. And that's when things really get interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's a good point. It's not just if you write off a lot of expenses, it's also if you have a lot of properties or you have a more convoluted situation where there's a lot of moving pieces.
That's right.
If you're just simply calculating debt to income off of a tax return, it may not work, but with this program, it could.
That's right.
Interesting. Now, what's the minimum down payment for a bank statement program?
There's some aggressive programs that are available that, that require maybe 10% down, but I'll be honest with you, most of the 10% down programs the terms are not favorable. The rates are not as great. So most of the ones that we seem to close are the ones that are 25% down. I would say for most people to qualify for bank statement program, to get favorable terms, you would be looking at a higher down payment. 20 to 25% is what I would recommend, because then you'll still get great pricing, and it will just be very favorable terms.
That makes sense. I mean, I always tell borrowers the same thing, that you've got credit, you've got debt to income, and you've got down payment. And if one of those is off, right? In this case, if the income is off, I mean, the credit and the down payment better be pretty good. You don't have to have all three, but two of them better be pretty good, right?
That's exactly right. I would say it's great to have 740 credit when you're doing bank statement programs. Now, are there others available? Yes. Are there bank statement programs that are going to be for 680 credit score? Yes, but those terms will not be favorable. Most people look at those rates and pricing and they'll say, oh, wait a minute, that's, is that even allowed, right? So I would say yes, 740 credit, 20 to 25% down, and you still get great rates.
That's great. Now tell me, one thing sometimes with some of these niche programs is you worry, hey, is this still a loan that can be done in 30 to 45 days, or is this like a 3-month process? Because especially in a purchase situation in a pretty competitive market, if you go in and say, hey, Mr. Seller, it's going to take me 75 days to close this thing, probably not going to work out so well. So tell me about the timing of the bank statement program.
That's actually really interesting because the bank statement program is actually a little easier than the normal program. We don't really have to go and do the verification of employment that shows, how many hours you've worked and, where you are with your previous employer and how much money you were making. And so it just makes it really easy. We completed the last one in 23 days.
Wow.
So we are still definitely very competitive on the terms and also very competitive on the, days of closing for sure on the bank statement. And I would say even, going back to the down payment assistance, same thing. Those are very fast. I would say about 28 days for those is what's normal.
That's great. So the one you just mentioned, the bank statement program that closed in 23 days, can you share a little bit about the specifics of that kind of borrower and who that, well, not their name, but what their situation was that made them?
Yes. So this particular one, it's kind of crazy because they owned car dealerships, again, local car dealerships. And the thing is with this particular borrower, great guy, 3 different car dealerships. And what was happening was that he was just taking in all the money that he was making and he was reinvesting it into his business. And, and it's allowed. And that was something that he was doing, buying more cars. And so he wasn't really showing much income. I think it was definitely not at all what you would think that someone who has 3 car dealerships would be making. But, it's normal. The first certain amount of years, that's what you do. You take the money and reinvest it back into, and there was, by the way, multiple offers on this one. I remember it was about 7 offers. So when we first started and I spoke to the listing agent and that was her biggest concern, she said, I just wanted to make sure that you're going to be able to close. And that's what it was. They needed to have a faster closing. So that's what we had. We had a 23-day closing. So we did close it in 23 days.
Wow. That's fantastic. Okay. Well, I think that's really helpful for those entrepreneurs or people with, again, more convoluted tax returns, et cetera. That great program. Another challenge I'm seeing home buyers have out there. I mean, obviously, I think nationwide we have an inventory crisis, not enough homes on the market.
Yeah.
What that means is if there's not enough homes on the market, there's definitely not very many, super turnkey, cherried out, beautiful move-in ready homes. And so that has some buyers looking at inventory where maybe in a more balanced market, they may not consider, but now they're looking at a home and saying, hey, the bones could work, the location could work, the square footage could work, but man, this place needs 100,000. It needs to have the kitchen reoriented or worse. Hey, I want to buy this home, but it doesn't qualify for financing because it either has broken windows, right, can prevent financing. It's got foundation issues. It's got maybe an empty pool, right? Health and safety, can't get a loan, no floor coverings, major dry rot that the seller's not going to address, those kind of things. Are there programs where a buyer can have assistance with the renovation, like a renovation loan?
Absolutely. It's crazy. Again, another amazing program that people don't know about. They go in and they look at a home and maybe they don't like the carpet, or maybe they just have, 10% down and they don't have money to redo the cabinets. And it's crazy how people walk away from that property. But now that there's no inventory, my clients are coming back to me and saying, hey, can I qualify for more? Or what can I do to just be able to get into a home in this neighborhood? I just don't seem to, there's like 20 offers and it's going $10,000 over asking. And I don't know how that green carpet could attract people, but there's still multiple offers. So yes, the renovation loan is amazing. It's actually where you can take the purchase price and the cost of whatever you want in upgrades or renovation and put it all in one. This helps the buyers so that they don't have to go out afterwards and get a second loan or get a personal loan or put, more on their credit cards and have those higher interests. It's an all-in-one inclusive loan that you can get right at the beginning.
That's great. And now, Shila, how do you determine, what is the cost of that renovation during that loan process?
That's a very good question. And so, I try to have my buyers, first of all, get educated on the renovation loan when they bring it up and they let me know, hey, I'm having problems finding a home. I'm not sure if I just need to qualify for more. And we talk about it. And I really give them the information on how to look at a property and really determine if you are really interested in doing upgrades. And right away, if you are, have a certain person that you already have in mind, a licensed contractor that you can bring in, show them the home, have them walk around with you, make the list of exactly what you want, and have a bid at hand. So that when you make that offer, you're giving me that bid and you're saying, hey, Sheila, I already put in an offer and I'm waiting for them to give me, whether it's a counter or an acceptance, but this is what I'm looking for. So we already are ready to go and know exactly what she wants in regards to the amount of upgrades. That's really the best way to proceed with a renovation loan. That cuts so much time. And the reason for it is because if you get into a transaction and you get into it, let's say, I don't know, 21-day transaction, and now you want to bring in someone and to give you bids on everything that you want to do, it's going to be hard to meet that 21-day.
Right.
But if you go straight from the beginning, I would say a 30-day transaction can still be met as long as you go in straight from the beginning, knowing your contractor, knowing what you want to get done. So we don't have to take another 2.5 weeks with you deciding who or which contractor you're going to go to, what upgrades you're going to have done, getting bids and all those things. It just really needs to be upfront. Those things have to be done because it cannot be done by you. That's the one major part about renovation loans. The renovation needs to be done by a licensed contractor.
I see. Okay. So that's really good to know. This is not the kind of thing where you say, hey, honey, let's go look at fixers this weekend and we'll get a renovation loan. You want to have pretty much your contractor identified. Yes. You want to have more or less a plan of what you hope to do with a property so that you can go in, get that bid, submit it to the lender and get that loan closed.
That's exactly right. And I would always say renovation loan, more than any other loan, it's really important to get pre-approved with exactly the amount that you're looking for. You should have in mind that, okay, I want to have a renovation loan, or I'm thinking what I want to do is get maybe an older home with a great backyard that I can go in and do my own renovation. And I'm thinking it might be somewhere about 50 to 100,000, or maybe even I really want to go in and redo everything. I want to do 100 to 150,000. Get the pre-approval at hand. So you've already got that done, right? Now you can go out and look for homes. And once you look for homes and you go and get the bids, again, very important to communicate at all times with your loan officer. Give that to them as soon as you can so they can start working on everything for you while you're still going through the contract and trying to get the offer accepted.
Yeah, that's great advice. So speaking of, you're talking about kind of different levels of rehab. Tell me, is there a limitation on purchase price on a program like on these renovation loan programs?
So most of the renovation loans that are available right now are going to be based on like the county limits.
Okay.
Other than VA, there's not going to be any limitations, and that's an amazing type of loan to have. But on just a normal, conventional or FHA, you're going to be going based on that county's maximum. Like, in Orange County, you're looking at approximately 822,000. So a jumbo financing would not be something that would consider renovation in most cases.
I see. Okay. So 822 and change is basically your top loan amount with regular financing, unless you're VA, and then it's unlimited.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's incredible. So let me ask you this. You shared a story with me recently about kind of a unique application of a renovation loan, which I hadn't really thought of. Can you tell me a little bit about that client and how they utilized?
Yeah, it's funny. After you and I spoke, there was another one just closed actually last week. So that one's really interesting too. But that particular one that you and I were talking about was where it was, again, a fast closing, multiple offers. I mean, we're running into these multiple offers all the time these days. And the buyer went in, and when they did the inspection, they found mold. The appraiser went in and they also found the mold. Well, the seller wasn't going to pay the money to get that completed and fixed. And, and the buyer wasn't going to be paying for that prior to owning the home. So we changed and flipped it quickly to a renovation loan. We were able to still close on time. they had a backup offer already. So the seller was adamant about closing on time. They had a backup offer. So we had to just change things very quickly, and she was able to still close on time.
Wow, that's amazing. So not only are you even providing the opportunity for people to buy a home that wouldn't even qualify for financing,
Mhm.
but even this program is almost pretty much competitive with cash offers. Like it's not like this is a 60 or 90-day closing. This is a pretty
No.
quick closing.
No. And in that particular scenario, remember, that's all she was going to do. So getting a bid and getting a contractor and getting those things done was very simple and it was easy to do, right? But again, major renovation, I would highly recommend straight from the beginning for them to be able to go in and get the bid and get it, from the start, get it started that way.
No, that's great. Well, that was super helpful. Anything as far as the renovation loan, maybe specifically that I haven't asked that you think would be really valuable for our audience to know?
People ask me all the time, and it's even real estate agents ask me. They say, is it really easy? Because it sounds so difficult. Like, I don't want to have to go through all this. What's important for people to understand is that the renovation doesn't start until you close the transaction. So you're closing the transaction, again, short escrows we can still do. And afterwards is when everything starts. And what's crazy is that people have this notion that, oh, it's too much work, and we actually take over. So, loanDepot actually has a department that is a renovation department. We have one of the largest now in the country. And we have people on the team that just concentrate and work with people after closing. So the real estate agents are not even involved. They don't even have to deal with it. The buyers really don't even deal with it anymore. We have exactly what needs to get done, right? And as soon as the loan closes, then the team works with the contractor and it just gets done. It's pretty simple and easy. People think that it's a very big ordeal, but it really isn't. It's actually very easy. It is very convenient. If you can think about the amount of money that you would have to spend on a Home Depot credit card, let's just look at that, right? The interest rate that you're going to be paying, and the monthly payment. And then a lot of times with the renovation loans, you're looking at maybe, I don't know, $200 per month more to be able to do a new kitchen, right? Yeah. So it is so much better than going out there and paying, the high interest rates and paying like, $1,000 more per month for that new kitchen, right? So it makes a big difference.
And you know what else I love about it too is we have, we always say in real estate that if you buy a home and you don't make those changes you're thinking about making to that home in that first year, it ain't happening.
You're right. It just doesn't.
And you move in and you don't really get to make it the way you want it. This renovation loan puts you in a position where you're going in and you're doing that work. I mean, it's a part of your loan. You've hired your contractor. So I love that it allows you to really move into a home and make it just like you want it right out of the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right.
So as I think through these loan programs, I mean, what I love is that like we talked about earlier, there's three things that lenders look at, right? The big ones: credit, your down payment, and your debt to income, right? And so we've, if you have issues with debt to income, you got the bank statement program. If you have an issue with the house itself, you've got this renovation loan program. And if you have issue with the down payment, there's the down payment assistance program. So really the only thing left to conquer if there's an obstacle in front of you is credit, right? And of course, we know there's credit repair companies out there. I know you can do a rapid rescore, help people improve their credit to be able to get financed. So in other words, if there's obstacles in front of you, you can put a plan together to get into a home, really no matter what the obstacle, if it is really a dream that you have in front of you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's crazy is people don't really know the benefit of home ownership until they really get into a home, right? When they see that tax write-off, it's just crazy. And everything just starts happening. I think it's just that savings and the equity. And I really find that when, at the beginning, maybe first-time home buyers are a little scared, right? And they don't know how they're going to make that payment. It is so crazy to me that not even a year later, they'll come to me and they go, I'm looking to buy another home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's addictive. We'll go, that kind of wraps up the loan programs we were going to talk about. We'll do a brief Q&A here. So one of the questions we got, Shila, is do you work only in California or can you help people across the country. And on that same note, these programs we're talking about, are these specific to California or are they available nationwide?
So that's a great question. First question would be, you had said, can I work in other states? So I do have multiple state licensing. And I also have associates that work with me in loanDepot that actually cover pretty much all of the country. So that's the first question. The second question would be, are all these programs for the entire nation? So the programs that we're talking about for down payment assistance are specific to the state of California.
Okay.
Those particular ones. But as far as renovation or down self-employed borrowers with the bank statement programs, yes, that is for the entire nation.
Okay, that's fantastic. Another question, and I'm not sure if you have a quick answer on this one. Is there a credit repair company that you prefer as far as directing?
To be honest with you, I don't actually have a credit company that I recommend in any way. To be, that's not something that I would say there's anything wrong with them, whether I believe in it or I don't believe in it. We have a program that is with the credit agency that actually allows us to do, it's like a wayfinder is what it's called. And it's a simulator that actually allows us, once we pull the credit for our buyers, it lets us know that, if our buyer, for example, some of the buyers call me maybe 6 months before they want to actually buy a home, right? I'm preparing for it. So when we pull the credit and do a pre-approval, maybe the credit has, some items that are incorrect. The simulator will let us know what can be done to improve the credit to reach that credit score that you want to reach. So that's really the system that we use, which actually really helps our clients, and it helps them to improve their credit over a certain period. Maybe they want to do it quickly, within the next couple of weeks. Maybe they want to take like 3 months to be able to pay down certain debts. Right. But that's the system that I really like. I don't really recommend a particular credit repair company.
Okay, fantastic. And then Sheila, we have a question on the bank statement program. It's a twofold question. First off, do you need to have a 12 months of bank statements? And secondly, how many years do you need to be in business to get a bank statement loan?
It's a great question. So for self-employed borrowers, most programs require a minimum of 2 years. Some even like it if they've been in business for 5 years, right? But in regards to the bank statement programs, there are some aggressive bank statement programs that only need 1 month bank statement to be able to actually, it's crazy. Most of the ones that I like, because the terms are so favorable, are the 12-month or 24-month bank statements. Those particular ones still have favorable rates, favorable costs. But if someone just, has the need to go with a 1 month bank statement, that is also available. I would say you should have pretty good credit and pretty great amount of down payment for that one.
Okay, so it is available. And like anything, if the more aggressive it is, it's going to be a little bit pricier.
That's right.
Okay. We got a question. How rapid is credit repair? I can speak to that. I've seen people clean up their credit usually in a minimum of about 3 months. There is some back and forth with the credit agencies writing a letter. They have a certain amount of time to respond to that. It's kind of a back and forth process. Probably more realistic is 6 months. It's not so much of an overnight process as far as what I've seen. Sheila, I know you can do a rapid rescore and help people pretty much overnight but minor adjustments, right?
Yeah, and those are 72 hours. So if there are some corrections that need to be done to a credit report, for example, I'll give you one that actually we just had last Monday. We pulled the credit and the buyer had items that were on there that were supposed to be taken off through the divorce, and they had court papers that showed that they no longer were supposed to have those particular debts in their name. And they also had letters from the creditor that had actually said on there, this was from a while ago, that they had removed that. So there were just mistakes on the credit report. We submitted those to the agencies. It took 72 hours and those were removed, and then the credit score increased.
Wow, that's great. So if everyone's ducks are in a row, it can be pretty quick. If they're disputing things and it's a more longer process, then it might be a little longer.
That's right.
Okay. Had a question on the down payment assistance. So is that, are those funds limited as far as, the amount of
Mhm.
funding available for down payment?
No, the ones that we work with are not just really the local ones like from the city or anything like that. These are the housing agencies in the state of California. And no, they're not limited.
Okay. And then a question on the renovation loan. Can you do a renovation loan on a condo? Yeah, that's the first question. Let's go there.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Now, keep in mind, there's certain renovations that cannot be done based on what the guidelines are from the HOA.
Okay.
However, yes, inside you want to go in and redo your kitchen. Absolutely. You can do the renovation loan. Yes.
And one other question on the renovation loan. Can you do a renovation loan with a minimal down payment?
Yes, absolutely. There's actually FHA renovation loan, and that's with 3.5% down payment. And then you can also do the VA, which is the 100% financing one. Yes.
Wow, that's great. Now, funny question for you. You can't combine the renovation and the down payment assistance.
No, I haven't done that. No.
Okay, good. And then the down payment assistance program, is that only available for first-time home buyers, or is that available to anyone?
That's a great question. There is actually an amazing program that does not require you to be a first-time home buyer, which is wonderful. I mean, you can even have maybe a rental property that you have not lived in, right, in the past year, and you can still qualify for down payment assistance. So no, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer.
Wow. Now, the down payment assistance, just to be clear, is for primary residences, correct?
Yes, it is exactly for that primary residence, not second home or investment properties.
Now, same question for the bank statement program and the renovation loan program.
Yes, you can do the bank statement program for the investment. Again, yes, you can do it for the investment, but again, it's not going to be favorable terms. It definitely isn't. Mostly, I would say these are made to be for primary residence for the bank statement programs. They really are. You're going to see the favorable terms for the primary residence, not even for second home. I think primary really should be the only ones. The other ones are just not favorable.
Okay.
Renovation loan, again, that is going to be for primary and second home.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay, so not so much for investment properties, but second home.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, I think that is all the questions we have. You have been just a great resource, and just really appreciate you sharing your time with us today, Shila.
Thank you, Jordan. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to find you, Shila, and they have other questions for you, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Really simple. If you actually go to loanDepot.com /S Charati. So Charati is my last name, S for Shila. So loanDepot.com /S Charati. That is my site. Or you can just call me, of course, on my cell anytime. And I think all that information is going to be on this. Courtney is going to put it up for us, right?
Yeah, it'll be on
Thank you, Courtney.
on the Facebook feed. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you again so much, Shila. We really appreciate you. And if anyone has additional questions, Shila told you how you can find her. You can find me at orangecountyrealestateservices.com. Happy to answer any other questions that you have. And happy Thursday to everybody. Thanks for being with us here on screen, on Facebook, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.